Hoge is here.
Hoge is here.
He's got stuff to do. And he doesn't have time for our nonsense.
Adam Hoge, live at Halas Hall, joining us here on the CHGO Bears Podcast, his show. What's up, Hoger?
What's up, guys? Yes, I never have time for the nonsense from you two, but I still love you very much.
Just know the Duke is chiming in, but we're going to go to you first. Sorry, Duke.
Well, it's actually a good question to the Duke, and Hoge, maybe you can handle this. 1999, what does concussion protocol entail? Are they getting serial brain scans on Roschon and seeing he hasn't recovered yet? And, of course, Roschon's still in the concussion protocol. I don't know if there's been an update on that today. I assume there isn't. But how would you answer that for the Duke?
Yeah, no update yet today. There's just certain benchmarks. It's spelled out somewhere. I don't have it in front of me right now. I don't keep the concussion protocol in my pocket at all times. But there's certain, benchmarks that you have to reach. How are you feeling? And then, the standard concussion tests that the independent doctors do. And again, that's important to remember that to clear concussion protocol, it has to come from an independent evaluator. It can't just be the Bears being like, hey, he's good, let's get him back out there. So it's a process, and obviously it just comes down to right now him not feeling well enough to get cleared. I mean, it's basically as simple as it is, and I think it's a big we'll see. I mean, the injury report's not out yet today. There's still time between now and Sunday, but the Bears, in my opinion, as I spelled out on the show yesterday, greatly missed him in pass protection because the guys they had out there, it's just not what they do. Deontay Foreman, I think, is fine running the football. I think he missed some opportunities, could have had some bigger gains last week. But from a pass protection standpoint, that ain't it, man. And Roschon Johnson's the best pass protector on this football team from that running back position, and they missed him.
All right. Well, coach is speaking today. Richard Hightower, Luke Getsy, and Andre Curtis, who's the safeties coach. Let's start with Luke Getsy. I know that he went over some of the quote-unquote bad plays. You've been tweeting out some of those plays here, Hoger. So what do we learn from Getsy this morning?
Yeah, so, the first play of the game, which we've talked about a lot this week, we talked about it with Baldy yesterday. Encourage people to go check that out if they didn't catch yesterday's show or listen to the podcast. But it was interesting to hear, and it was a good question from Dan Weeder. Like, look, even the bad play, none of these coaches just do stuff without any explanation or reasoning. Okay, you might not like the reasoning, but it's still good to hear the coach's reasoning. So the question was basically like, when you open up an empty on that first play, why? Like, what are you looking for? There must be a reason. And he brought up two things. The one is, okay, we all know, like Baldy told us yesterday, and we knew going into the game, Brian Flores likes to blitz everybody or back everybody up, but he's going to show you pressure every single time, and you got to figure it out, either pre-snap or post-snap. So they wanted to see if they went 21 personnel, which means 2 running backs and 1 tight end. That's what the Bears were in on that first play. What would the Vikings do? Would they send everybody? Would they back them up? And also from a personnel standpoint, defensively, would they go big with their base package, or would they go with their sub personnel, which is nickel, right? And they went with the sub package. And Fields correctly, this is all according to Getsy, Fields correctly did the hard part, quote, the hard part, and set the protection to the right, leaving the hot to the backside, which is something we've talked about this week. I'll get to that in a second. But he gave him credit for recognizing a defense that they had never shown us. That, again, coming from Getsy. He just didn't do the next part, which is throw the ball. Getsy said he's got to drift right and throw it, and he didn't do that. That's the same thing that Matty Eberflus said on Monday. So he did the hard part, didn't do the easy part. I find it concerning because, just from Fields' standpoint, we can debate the call and everything, and I think you still can. I think there's reasonable explanations to debate the call. But, man, when you look at it, he just freezes. Like, I find it very concerning the way that Fields seemingly knew what was coming and just froze. And then I followed up with Getsy because something we talked about earlier this week. Would you rather have the hot coming from the backside or the front side in front of you? And basically he said it depends on the throw. This was quick game. This was catch throw. So in that situation, you'd rather have the guy on the backside as long as you know he's coming, because he's not going to get to you in time. And so instead of having the defender right in front of you and his arms waving in your throwing lane, you leave the guy hot to the backside. So seemingly and did everything they wanted him to do there except throw the football.
Okay, so to me, and it's hard to say exactly which one he'd prefer. I mean, the first read is Kari on the far outside, and then you got a receiver in the slot. Just watching the play over, I'm trying to get an understanding of exactly who that was. But to me,
I think it's DJ Moore.
Okay, DJ Moore. The heat comes on him so fast that for him to get that ball out, he had to throw it before either guy made their break back towards the line of scrimmage or back where they face the quarterback. And
which is called being an NFL quarterback.
Exactly. And so to me, that's the problem. He just, the reason everybody's like, well, we don't know why he hesitated, because he needed to see the guy turn around first, and he didn't throw it before that. It's as simple as that.
Which gets back to, and we can get to some of these other plays, calling plays to what your players can do. And look, we can, Fields has a lot of strengths. There's a lot of reasons why we all like Justin Fields, but one of the things he doesn't do is throw with anticipation. Now, quick game should just be, dude, catch, throw. It really should not be that complicated, but man, even if you just check out my Twitter account right now on the video, it's just concerning that he just sort of freezes. Now, there was a little bit of, I'd like to see the right side of the O-line stay in their ground a little bit better there than they did. Yeah. This whole idea of him sliding to his right, because they basically wanted him to roll to his right a little bit, at least take a couple steps and kind of throw it on the run. And I can kind of see why Justin hesitated doing that, because it looked like the right tackle being walked back a little bit. But I don't know, man. We can talk about it to death. I think we should get to the next play, but I don't love the call. That said, the call should have worked. The quarterback didn't execute it.
Okay, on to play 2 we go. What's next on the docket here?
So we talked about this too this week. These 2 plays where they both resulted in turnovers, where your running back got left blocking a defensive end. In one case, it's Danielle Hunter who pushes Deontay Foreman straight back into Justin Fields on that interception in the first half. The second one was the Tyson Bagent strip that got returned for a touchdown. And on that one, you had Darrington Evans left on a 3 technique, which is just a horrible matchup. So I asked this question to Getsy today. I phrased it exactly like this. I said, I'm going to go out on a limb, Luke, and say that you didn't draw it up that way. So what happened? And to his credit, he's being pretty straightforward in these answers. The play 1, here's the quote. Just a young guy made a mistake, blocked the little guy, and so he lost an opportunity to throw one to DJ there. Let me translate a little bit. If you watch the video, the call from the center, everybody's sliding left on the protection. Everybody got that call except for Darnell Wright. So when he says young guy, he's talking about Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright didn't go left. He blocked to the right, which was the linebacker, and that left Danielle Hunter, the greatest player on that defense, to come straight through to the quarterback, leaving only the running back to block him. So miscommunication up front. The second play, again, miscommunication. That's Luke Getsy's words. The center made a call. We didn't execute that call. If you look at the video, you see Cody Whitehair say, hey, fan out left, fan out left. The weird part about this one for me is the one person who didn't fan out left was Cody Whitehair. So I don't know. It seems to me like Cody said we're going left, and then he didn't go left. So, but then again, we saw a quarterback on the first play who seemed to know what was going on, and then he just didn't do the part. So, guys, sometimes when the bullets are flying, your brain freezes. I can't say with 100% certainty that was Cody's fault, but if you're telling your guard to go left,
yeah, you can see
you
can see him pointing.
Yeah, and the 3 techniques coming through. Then if you don't block him, I don't know who else's fault that could have been, and I think there's a reason. Again, though, this is who got benched in this game. It was Cody Whitehair.
And that just goes to show you where, and I really appreciate this insight. it makes us all smarter fans. And that helps because fans in the stands are going to scream, Luke Getsy is an idiot. And he might be at sometimes. There's things I would push back on him that he could have done better in this game, including running the ball and taking some of this confusion out of the rookie quarterback's hands and out of the center who is having his struggle with his own hands. But at the end of the day, these execution points you're highlighting here, just put it on display that there's more layers to why a play doesn't work, and simply to always just blame the quarterback or blame the offensive coordinator is not how it always works. And fans tend to go to the low-hanging fruit before they have a true understanding of what's going on. So I appreciate the insight.
Yeah, I got a couple more too that I just haven't had a chance to pull the video yet and tweet it. But so the 3rd and 7 where they ran the ball, that you're like, why did they do that? So he said that was a premier look that they had talked about during the week. When they showed this, let's check to a run. So again, the right decision was made at the line of scrimmage according to how they coached it. Now you can say, are they coaching it right? Sure, but it came down to the fact that the blocking just wasn't executed. That's what Getsy explained, and I think that was the one where he said that they actually kind of tripped. It was a Foreman who's running on that. I don't have it in front of me, but the running back got tripped actually by one of the Vikings, which is an illegal tackle. I didn't necessarily notice that off the top, but and then what else? We had the Bagent interception too. Bagent, his explanation yesterday was like, hey, I just got to check that ball down. But according to Getsy said the problem was that he took 3 hitches. If he just takes 1 hitch and throws it, that ball's out, ball's in the air. DJ Moore has a chance to make the play. He took 3 hitches. So now at that point, when you hesitate, you got to hit the check down. So, a couple mistakes there, right? 1 hitch throw. All right, once you hesitate, then you got to hit the check down. I think the Bears would have rather see him just go 1 hitch, throw it up there. But there you go. That one, I think, mostly on the quarterback, although he did have a lineman come right in his face. Although Getsy also said that Bagent kind of stepped right into the lineman that ended up hitting him there. So, you can't do that either.
Look, I don't like assigning blame. I'm exhausted by it. But listening to everything you're saying here and then listening to Matt Eberflus in my head, it's time on task. It's repetition. It's the hits philosophy, right? It seems to me that there's something being dropped here. This dude Darnell Wright doesn't know which way he's going. Cody Whitehair, it seems to me that somehow, some way, this is not getting drilled in enough. To me, it seems like a coaching issue more than anything else. I understand that it's different when bullets are flying, but that's what it feels like.
Well, and that's where, and this gets into a deeper discussion that goes back to Tuesday when, Carm, you asked Cole Kmet, what do you want your coach to be saying at the podium when we're going through these things? And Flus obviously is not going to give the amount of detail that Luke Getsy did today. I don't have a problem with Getsy, walking through these plays. I appreciate it as a reporter. I think, as Greg just said, it educates the fans. But then the other side of it is and I'm getting these responses on Twitter already, right?
KYP, know your personnel.
Yeah, well, there's that side of it, but it's everyone's like, oh, so nothing's Getsy's fault. It's all the players. That's the catch-22 of this is if your players F up and you talk about how, they F'd up, then, it's not your fault. So, and I do think that there can be times, and I've said this the past couple of weeks, is where these coaches can say exactly what they're saying, and then at the end of their answer say, and by the way, we obviously got to coach it better.
Right.
Because that's the part.
Right. Well, if I put Addison behind, if I put, sorry, Adam, I was just going to say, if I put Addison behind the wheel of the car and I tell her to turn right and she crashes, well, I told her, but she's not old enough to understand to do that. I know I'm being a little condescending.
You're a great dad. That's all I'm going with whenever you bring it back. I'm not going down that road again.
No, but that was a weird analogy, but I will I will say that, obviously, when you have this many issues and communication issues up front with your offensive line, something's not being coached up right. At some point, it does come down to the coaching 100%. Some of these sound pretty simple, though. And the fact that this happened at home, Like, you're not on the road with fans going nuts and you're on a silent count. Like, this is all stuff that should have been able to be communicated and clearly wasn't properly, whether it's in the meetings leading up to the game or simply there on the field pre-snap.
Hoge, I know you got to pop out here. We got Ray Scarpelli coming up. We're going to do some fantasy. But anything that we missed in this conversation from today that you think our diehard fans or even sometimes fans need to know?
No, just one special teams note, because we heard from Richard Hightower about Velas taking the ball out. They were really close to breaking a couple of those, had a penalty or two. But he said, hey, look, weather's turning. We got a good returner. We're going to keep bringing those balls out. So you can expect to see that, especially when the Bears are at home or in any, cold weather situations.
All right. Would love to see it. Hoge, great stuff. We'll see you Sunday for pregame, brother, and we'll see you at the tailgate bright and early because you're staying in the city and you're going to be there at 7:30 helping Braggs.
Probably closer to 8, but I'll be there.
6 a.m. Deal.
6 a.m. 8
See you
o'clock.
guys.
Somewhere in there. There goes Adam Hoge.
We all silly like the mayor.